I, 65, am estranged from my daughter, 36, female. I'm completely at fault. Her mother is a narcissist, and I was brainwashed by my now ex-wife, who I recently divorced, into believing her daughter was the problem. But I finally seen the light and realized my daughter was never the problem, it was my wife. And stupidly, I would go along to get along, but I finally grew a pair and told her to go to the bad place. I handled the estrangement very badly. I admit to trying to strong-arm and bully my daughter back into the family. I won't lie, it was to get my wife off my back, as I couldn't take her BS, but I finally seen the light. I had to stop because the daughter had an attorney send cease and desist letters. This was 3 years ago. I wrongly resented her for the problems I believed she caused, but now I realize it was my narcissistic ex-wife all along, and I feel horrible and want to make amends. She moved away and I couldn't find her, so I hired a private investigator. She's in the next state 3 hours away. I want to be as non-invasive as possible, so am I the idiot if I leave a note with her doorman concierge to give to her, stay at a nearby hotel for a few days, letting her know I divorced her mother? I would love to speak with her and make amends. I would also like to let her know where I'm staying with my contact info. I know she asked numerous times to be left alone, although this was years ago while I was still with her mother. But she's still my kid. Wow, you are the idiot. My take on this, I don't know why, but using a private investigator to track her is already a breach of privacy. Doing that shows you disrespect your daughter by not agreeing with the no contact. There is a reason your daughter did that. The fact that you hired a PI to invade her privacy just shows you aren't willing to take accountability for your actions. Oh, it's absolutely an invasion of privacy. But it would be better to have him discuss it with a therapist than for me to try to explain the nuances. You have to crawl before you can walk, and this dude doesn't even realize that blaming it all on his ex clearly shows he doesn't understand basic responsibility, let alone anything more complicated. I messed up, but I blame my ex-wife for it. He and his wife seem to have this attitude and are finally divorced since they can't stand each other. I hope OP's daughter is doing well. Dude, let me get this straight. You spent years blaming your daughter, then harassed her until she had to send a cease and desist, and now you think leaving a note with her doorman is going to start to fix everything? That's a creepy move. If you want to make amends, respect her boundaries, leave her alone, and maybe consider therapy instead of dragging her into your drama. I mean, no boundaries, right? After a cease and desist order? This isn't all the narcissistic ex-wife's fault here. Staying in a nearby hotel. Yikes. Call it what it is. Stalking. He is stalking her. She has clarified that she doesn't want him to contact her or know where she is. This man is frightening and should not in any way contact his poor daughter. I have a different take. If you want to make amends, spend a year in therapy getting your head on straight. Stop blaming your mistakes on others. Accept responsibility for your mistakes, etc. Then, after your therapist agrees you're in a good place, you make an appointment with the attorney that she hired. You give the attorney the information you have if he doesn't know her current address, and then you let the attorney contact her to see if she will accept your letter after you write it with the therapist. Then you wait for either the attorney to contact you or for your daughter if she so chooses. If the attorney tells you it's a no, you accept that no. Leave her money in your will, but leave her alone. Trying to contact her any other way is 100% wrong. I had my son, a young teen, as a teenager. His dad was my cousin's boyfriend, 28 then, and I admit I was a witch for doing that. I got my karma because he's a deadbeat, and I got no help from my parents as punishment for betraying my family. Whatever, we lived and I learned. I get the hostility towards me, but I'm tired of them forcing my son to hate me. They didn't want crap to do with him when he was a baby, but now that he technically doesn't need me, they're trying to tell him that he doesn't have a dad because of me, or that I'll never be enough to advance his athletic career and am therefore ruining his life. Crap like that. I begged them to stop, but they say that they're simply telling him the truth, and it's up to him to decide if he wants anything to do with me, and that it's the consequences of my actions. I get it, I really do, but this is insanity. Sports gear, and threw it at them before telling them that they don't get to hold a decade-long mistake over my head. My mom just said I ruined her relationship with her family and that the consequences I'm facing are nothing compared to the things she had to deal with thanks to me. She kept going on about consequences, while my dad told me to expect harsh consequences from my son for taking his sports equipment. He also said something about choosing my pride over my son's dream. I snapped and told them that I didn't care about the consequences, that the word had lost all meaning and they all just sounded like idiots to me. My parents got extremely angry and said that my attitude was doing me no favours and there was a reason no one was on my side and no one was willing to forgive or trust me. Then they kicked me out of the house. And now my older sister won't stop calling me just to yell at me for not learning crap the past years and continuing to disrespect my family, especially my parents. I'm just exhausted and I need to know, at least temporarily, if I'm the bad guy here. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. They are choosing to not only hold your mistakes against you, but they're actively manipulating your son and damaging his mental health to get to you. Honestly, even though the cheating was definitely not a good decision, the fact that you were raised by these people and ended up possessing any kind of moral compass at all is pretty remarkable, and you ironically seem to be the only one in your family who has one, so kudos to you for that. While what you did is crap, you're not a homewrecker. They weren't even married. He also cheated. Whether it was with you or someone else was most likely just a matter of time. There are always two sides to the coin. Honestly, I can't get over the fact your family is still punishing you for something that happened when you were a teen. A literal child yourself. You were groomed and they don't even care? Why are they projecting their anger onto you and not the 28-year-old who cheated on your cousin and impregnated you? Ugh, I'm so sorry for the circumstances you're in. Probably best to go low or no contact. Expensive sports equipment be damned. Didn't the cousin also dodge a bullet, and shouldn't they ultimately be happy about that? If they're being mean to you, I mean. OP, please talk to your son. He's a young teen, you can be open with him. He knows you're a good mum, and he knows you love and support him. Tell him that you are who you are in spite of those people who shunned you and made life much harder for you both. Your parents are scummy people. I, female 27 and my husband 30, have been together for 7 years and are currently expecting. I'm 27 weeks pregnant, and at the time of this event I was 25 weeks. The other important people in this situation are my younger brother, 23, his girlfriend, 23, and their child, a young male grammar schooler. They're young parents, obviously, and had their baby while they were still in high school. As I mentioned, I'm 27 weeks pregnant, and my doctor has told me I have a high-risk pregnancy due to placenta previa. Because of my condition, I have no choice but to have a scheduled C-section when it's time, and when I found out, this was really upsetting news. I always planned on a natural birth, so it just kind of hit me hard. However, above all else, I want my baby to be healthy, and me, so it is what it is. My other sister-in-law, my husband's sister Carrie, has been really supportive of me and my pregnancy, and we talk a lot. Well, recently there was a family gathering, and of course my husband and I went. I was sitting with Carrie talking about work when my brother's kid came over. He's a young grammar schooler, like I said, and he was interested in my belly. He asked me why I was fat, LOL, and he kept reaching towards my bump. I grabbed my nephew's hands and explained to him that I had a baby in my tummy and that pretty soon he was going to have a baby cousin. It's okay to touch my bump, but just be gentle, especially so because of my previa. I'm supposed to be on bed rest, but obviously I didn't tell this child this. This little idiot, not exaggerating, he's also just horrible, reaches and touches my belly before winding back and punching me. Holy crap, that little kid had some power. Immediately, Carrie and I scolded him and reminded him that 1, he needed to keep his hands to himself, and 2, it was very mean and dangerous to hit my belly. He apologized and then ran off. A few minutes later, his mother, my brother's girlfriend, came up to me and asked me what I told her son. I explained what happened, exactly how it happened. She told me her son was upset because I yelled at him. My internal dialogue was that, yeah, I bet he is because he never gets disciplined in general. He's a spoiled child, and his parents let him do whatever he wants. Externally, I apologized for it, but reminded her that he needed not to hit my tummy or anything else in general. She rolled her eyes and just walked away. About an hour later, my husband and I were getting ready to go, so I stood up and went to say goodbye to my brother. He was standing with his son, and as soon as I was within arm's reach of him, the kid reached out and smacked me in my stomach again. Hard. I doubled over that time, and my husband immediately started to scold the child while making sure I was okay. My brother's girlfriend started to lose her mind about us parenting her kid for her, resulting in my husband getting loud with her about how the kid was a brat and needed it. In turn, my brother and husband had quite a large argument that most of our family witnessed. And now, half of my family is mad at her and the other half is mad at me. I understand that my husband probably didn't handle it the best, but the child was literally hitting me. Absolutely not the idiot. Lucky that kid didn't get smacked back just out of pure instinct, especially after hitting you twice. Obviously he's young, so he's learning, but this is bad. Seriously, someone must teach this kid the importance of keeping their hands to themselves if they cannot be gentle. Also, it's a red flag for a young boy not to be gentle. I'd hate to see how he behaves toward animals. This was beyond not okay behavior. I think the parents need to nip it in the bud ASAP. What the heck is wrong with these people? The fact that the nephew did it twice is very disturbing. That kid is very troubled. No one should be hitting pregnant women and or babies. Don't be surprised that he gets into trouble at school for hitting his classmates. I hope your brother does something about his son's behavior before a stranger does it for him. Prioritizing your high-risk pregnancy is non-negotiable. Your husband's intervention was necessary for your safety. No fault lies with you. My 33 male girlfriend, 28, and I have been together for almost 4 years, but we only began living together just over a year ago. Prior to living together, we were in a long-distance relationship. I used to send her flowers for special occasions and sometimes just because I wanted to. I often spent a good deal of money on a dozen roses. She was very grateful and would say how it reminded her of me when she looked at them and made her smile. It might be worth noting that she never brought me flowers, but that didn't bother me as it's a bit of a girly thing. No judgment or whatever, but honestly I could care less about flowers. Anyway, now to the issue at hand. Since living together, I haven't brought her flowers. Honestly, I hadn't really thought to because I'm right here in the same flat, so she doesn't need a reminder of me. Well, just before Christmas, she bought a Christmas flower arrangement, which I figured was just part of decorating for Christmas. Early January, she threw it out, and in its place appeared another vase of flowers, which I didn't say anything about because she wasn't working. She's a private school teacher and was off for their Christmas holidays, and I figured she's just bored. But I guess they died, and now there's another vase of flowers in its place. This time, it's a dozen roses. I asked her what was up with the roses, and she said she likes flowers and that as I never buy them anymore, she's decided to get them for herself. I didn't say anything at the time, but this has really got to me questioning her. It seems passive-aggressive to go out and buy roses for yourself just to make a point, identical to the arrangements I brought for her. And now, every time I walk into the kitchen, I'm hit with how crappy a boyfriend she thinks I am. You are the idiot. Holy projection, Batman. Unless your girlfriend is actually complaining about it, calm down and let her buy her pretty flowers. Not everything is about you. If you feel like a crappy boyfriend for not getting her flowers anymore, then you need to do something about it. Don't sit there and convince yourself she's being passive-aggressive. This, even when she doesn't complain, doesn't guilt him about it, buys her own damn flowers to enjoy, somehow it's still her fault. I literally had an ex tell me I made him feel bad for buying myself flowers after he stopped buying them for me after he'd moved in. Even though I bought myself flowers every week, in addition to any he bought me the entire time he'd known me. I had an ex like that. When we first started dating, they bought me flowers a couple of times, but then it stopped. Then one year my sister sent me flowers for my birthday, when my ex and I were living together, and he flipped his crap like, "Who is sending you flowers?" I was super resentful of it. I realized I liked having flowers, so I started buying them for myself on rare occasions, and he was resentful of that as well because I was making him feel like a bad boyfriend. Like, dude, the solution is literally in front of your damn faces. She's not asking for a Chanel or a Louis Vuitton. She's asking for some flowers or whatever small token it is that makes her feel loved, valued, and appreciated, even if it's just spending time with her watching movies. And for the love of God, lose the... I decided to step in as a parent. I chose to confiscate his winnings, not primarily because he lied about his age, but because I wanted to underscore the risk and potential addiction associated with gambling. I felt this could be a slippery slope for a teenager, especially given how easy it was for him to win this time. My wife, however, believes I overreacted. She thinks we should have talked to him about responsible behavior instead of just taking the money. She says this because he did stop gambling and self-excluded on his own volition. My son is upset as he feels like he won that money fair and square, despite the age issue. He's been pretty cold to me since. I'm second-guessing my decision now. Was I the idiot for taking away his winnings to make a point about the risks of gambling? Not the idiot. Give it back to him when he officially turns 18. It doesn't belong to you, OP. It's quite possible that your son will get into trouble, also you as parents, and that money may be forfeited. So it's okay to keep hold of it until you find out. But it's not your money. Where's the communication? Your son is nearly an adult. In less than 365 days he will be a legal adult and able to move out, gamble the days away, and never listen to another word you say ever again if he so wishes. Stop treating him like a child. Talk to him, negotiate with him, stop and listen, validate his feelings, or you could lose him.